Ukraine's armed forces struck multiple Russian command posts in occupied Donetsk in a large-scale missile and drone attack, according to OSINT analysts Cyber Baroshno and Dnipro OSINT. The analysts reported that the command posts of Russia's 41st Combined Arms Army and the 20th Motor Rifle Division were hit. The 41st Army's headquarters was reportedly located on the grounds of the Research Institute of Complex Automation, while the location of the 20th Division's command post has not yet been disclosed. In addition, drones targeted the Topaz plant, another Russian-occupied facility long repurposed by Moscow's forces. According to Cyber Baroshno, an Army-level command post was stationed there, though it remains unclear which Russian army it belonged to. Photos shared on local Telegram channels show extensive structural damage and heavy smoke rising from the area. Videos also captured Russian air defenses firing as multiple explosions thundered across the city. Analysts and Ukrainian military observers suggest the strike may have involved domestically produced cruise missiles such as the Peklo or Bars, based on debris patterns visible in footage. Several types of missiles may have been used simultaneously. The Topaz factory, once a major electronics plant, has been repeatedly targeted since Russia began using it to house equipment and command facilities after launching its full-scale invasion in 2022. Earlier, Ukrainian armed forces struck the infrastructure that Russian forces were constructing for Shahed drones on the grounds of the Donetsk airport. According to satellite images published by the Cyber Baroshno community, the site was located in a building that previously housed a metro store, approximately 1 kilometer from the runway. Destruction of another Russian bridge in occupied territory, used by Russians for their logistics. The bridge, pre-mined in advance, was blown up by fiber-guided FPV drones of the 58th Motorized Brigade together with 2 supporting units. A Russian tank burns out after being struck by a Ukrainian FPV drone. Ukrainian drones have become one of the most effective tank killers on the battlefield. Operating in swarms or individually, they track Russian armor from the sky, often striking with precision grenades or guiding artillery onto the target. Cheap FPV drones can disable even heavily armored tanks by hitting weak spots like engine decks or turrets. This constant threat forces Russian crews to hide their vehicles, making tanks less effective and more vulnerable than ever before. Russian soldiers in Ukraine are stealing abandoned weapons from the battlefield and smuggling them back into Russia, or simply selling their own weapons to arms dealers. There has been a 300% increase in arms trafficking cases since 2021. An investigation by the Russian independent media outlet Verstka has identified a massive increase in cases heard by garrison courts against military personnel charged with the purchase, sale, storage, transportation, and theft of weapons and ammunition. According to court records, the number of such cases has increased from 41 in 2021 to 137 in 2023. There have been at least 93 cases in the first 8 months of 2025, which suggests a final figure close to or exceeding that in 2023. At least a quarter of the cases have been heard in the Kursk and Crimea garrison courts, whereas previously cases were distributed across the country. In most cases, inspections uncovered weapons being smuggled in cars by both professional and mobilized soldiers. Soldiers generally claim that the weapons are trophies, which they forgot to report or to remove from their personal belongings. They are often treated fairly leniently, with over 60% receiving suspended prison sentences or fines. Verstka reports that in the vast majority of cases, soldiers cooperate with the investigation, declare remorse in court, desire to return to the front, and present checks for charitable contributions to organizations, including those helping the military. Russia has fairly strict gun control laws, which prohibit the private ownership of automatic or large-capacity weapons. Despite this, soldiers have smuggled pistols, automatic rifles, grenades, anti-tank rockets, and large quantities of ammunition. According to serving soldiers, weapons are lost through a number of scams, including falsifying paperwork. Weapons are expected to be lost in assaults, but are written off in advance. As Verstka describes it, quoting a soldier named Alexei, "A reserve of weapons for a rainy day is created on days when nothing happens at the positions. Every day, the command submits a report on losses, and if there were none, the figures are copied from the previous report. Thus, Alexei says, a reserve appears that does not exist on paper, but in reality, it lies in warehouses. Another scam is to appropriate lost weapons recovered from the battlefield, which have been written off by their owning unit. Assault operations are underway, and a company from a neighboring brigade is assigned to assist our unit. This company takes up positions, and after 2 days of fighting, no one survives. Well, when everything calms down, our guys go and collect the weapons left behind. The weapons belong to the neighboring brigade, so they are not registered anywhere with us, which means we can do whatever we want with them, whether it be selling them or using them ourselves, while the neighboring brigade will write them off in a report and indicate that the weapons remained in enemy territory. Captured Ukrainian weapons, not registered to anyone on the Russian side, are also in high demand and commanded a premium price. Another soldier, Vasily, comments, "There was some local guy in the Kharkiv region, supposedly with some connections. He drove around in an unremarkable Zhiguli, bought weapons, loaded them into the trunk, and drove away. They sold their duty automatic rifles, which were just standing in the trenches. No one's, not named, not registered to anyone. After combat operations, everything that more or less survived on the field and could be used, all of it was sold to this guy. Combat footage was also sold for up to 140,000 rubles, $1,700 per recording, perhaps to Telegram bloggers. We recorded all of this footage, and the buyer's friend, to whom he sold it, blurred out, let's say, interesting moments. But that's putting it mildly. Interesting. They announced a price for these videos and paid very good money. The amount of arms smuggling is certainly far greater than the number of cases recorded by the authorities. However, they do not seem to be affecting the black market. In fact, prices for black market weapons have increased since 2022 due to a reduced supply. This is attributed to the authorities monitoring the black market and cracking down on gun ownership with tighter legislation. It's thought that most of the weapons owned by criminals are converted blank-firing weapons, rather than being smuggled from Ukraine. This suggests that the Russian authorities may have learned from the experiences of the 1990s, when large numbers of stolen weapons ended up in the hands of the Russian mafia and contributed to years of violent crime. And for the end, this is best to watch raw, the moment 6 missiles struck the same location.
Топаз прилетела.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.